gotta love that transition. Hello, welcome to the very first episode of the ORG podcast. My name is Cade Tippett. I'm the owner of Tippett Orthodontic Lab. Me and my wife own it here in Texas. And also, for those of you that are watching on my YouTube channel, I also have a YouTube channel called Retainer Designer where I make, retainer videos and stuff. But that being said, I want to introduce everybody to the very first ORG podcast. I do have an actual agenda to go by, so if you see me looking over to the side, that's what I'm reading to make sure that that I stay on course. So anyway, I want just to talk about what those that are watching from my YouTube channel. I wanted to do this first one, or this first few live streams of this podcast to my channel, because I want this. I think this is a very important new thing for our industry, and I'm very excited about it. And we are, so that's why y'all are seeing this also. So I want to thank everybody for joining in. If you have any questions or comments or anything, go ahead and type them in Facebook or YouTube, whatever you're watching from. And we'll do a quick Q&A at the end. If you are a member, if you go to the website, let me share my screen real quick, which should have been shared already. But here we go. Make sure I'm on the right one. If you go to orthodonticresource.com, you'll see on the front page, you'll see, well, we need to change the 2023 conference and expo right there, but right here you'll start see the new ORG podcast every week pop up. And if you click in there, if you remember, you can actually do a call-in feature. There is a special link at the bottom. If you are logged in as a ORG member, you can actually call in, use a camera or mic and or both, whatever, and you can be a part of the podcast, and we'll do that at the end. And it's really a great way of communicating with our members. So if you have any comments, you can leave them below, and we will get to those as we go. So we do have some comments coming up. Oh yeah, Luciano, thank you for, and we also have some other ones that are ready for the show to start. So that being said, I thought the very best way to start this conference, so this ORG podcast, was actually having our first guest being the president of the ORG, Miss Tiffany Prater. Tiffany, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad you're on board with doing this for the very first episode.
Well, it was kind of it's not my idea, but I was the one that relayed it to y'all that somebody had written this on our...
Well, and before we get to that, this is going to be my first question. I want to say all this is riding on your shoulders, so I'm just kidding. It's not.
Well, it's going to fail if it is, because I don't know how to do any of this.
Well, speaking of how to do this, I want to do a special thanks to Josh Dobson of Dobson Ortho Lab. Hello, Josh. He's in the background. He's doing he's going to help us upload this to all the podcasting platforms. You got anything special you want to say, Josh?
No, not really. I think you've got this one handled.
Okay, I guess so. We'll find out. So we'll go back to Tiffany. Tiffany, if you so the genesis of this, what did that start with for you?
So at our most recent conference, we handed out surveys for everyone to fill out, and there was lots of great ideas. And one of them was that we should have a podcast. And I should also say that the person that submitted this idea is one of my employees.
Oh, so maybe it was your idea.
Fault.
It's his fault.
No, I would have never thought of this. And he listens to a lot of stuff when he's working. Like, I let them listen to whatever. And he was like, ORG should have a podcast. And so he wrote it on that, and here we are. So
yeah, and I thought it was a great idea. What better industry to create a podcast for is the industry where you work on your hands and you can just listen to stuff while you work. I do it all the time.
Oh yeah.
I listen to YouTube videos, other podcasts, and things like that, audio
Yeah.
books. So
Yeah.
we might have to have a book club for our
Oh,
podcast in the future.
Yeah. That would be kind of fun. Yeah.
So so right now the name of the podcast is ORG Podcast. We don't have an official name yet, but we may get y'all's help in the future. Maybe look for a Facebook poll or something. We'll distill it down to just a few ideas or a few to choose from. My personal favorite being Bent Wire Podcast, but I don't know if anybody will get that. But I personally like that idea. But we may just keep it simple, the ORG, Ortho Lab Talk podcast or something like that. But put your ideas in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. And then in a few weeks, I think Josh said we'll wait till we build up a few episodes. We'll start distributing this to all the platforms, Apple, Spotify, all those podcasting platforms. So we have a nice library for everyone to listen to. So you can binge listen to my beautiful voice. And speaking of that, I'm not going to be the host every week. We're going to have a rotating panel of hosts. So you won't have to listen to me every single week.
I'm just waiting to hear your rooster chime in.
I know. He was all about it when I was setting this up. And I was like, Pete is going to be in this podcast one way or another. So if you do hear a rooster, that is my rooster, Pete. And whenever I go live stream on my YouTube channel, he always likes to chime in and give his opinion and judge me.
Oh.
So one thing I want to read, and Josh has been setting this up, and I thought he really put this into some really good words, just this idea of this podcast. So I want to share this with y'all. This is going to be from our Podbean page that's coming up soon. But just to let everybody know, the Orthodontic Resource Group is a nonprofit organization started by orthodontic laboratory owners aimed to unite and educate others in the field of orthodontics, specifically lab-related topics such as appliances, technology, business practices. The ORG started many years ago with the philosophy that together we know more, and that's why we have continued to come together to share. This podcast is one of many ways the ORG promotes collaboration amongst other orthodontic labs to show you that, one, we are human. So all these mistakes that we're making in this podcast, we're all human, and we all make mistakes in the lab. And two, we share about what we do. And that's one of the newest things in this industry that I love so much is everybody's willing to share. And if you come to our conference, coming up soon, I'll let you know, you can get a taste of that. And we all want to take vacations, and maybe we'll talk about Tiffany and her vacations soon, because I'm very jealous of her vacations. And no matter how introverted we think we are generally like to have community, especially community of introverts. When we all come together, it's a great thing. But
I like
Tiffany,
that. That's good.
So to bring everybody together, I like everybody to tell their story. So
Okay.
I'll have a set number of questions for everybody that comes on board. All right.
Okay.
And so the first question for you is, what was your first introduction to Ortho Lab? If you can think back.
Are you calling me old? No, it was, so my mom actually worked for an orthodontist when I was in school for dental assisting, and she worked front desk, but that orthodontist had an in-house lab tech, and she did, I think, pretty much everything for them. And I don't know, like, I always kind of knew I liked the lab side of things. I don't know why, because it's kind of messy, kind of fun, but I remember I would go in there and just kind of observe until I got a real job. And the lady that was back there, she was just super cool, super chill. But I just loved, she was just in this little room by herself. She got to listen to her own music and just made appliances. So she was still like working with people, but not really dealing with people also. And I don't know, something in that just kind of was like, that's really cool. And so I always kind of thought I would work as an in-house lab tech somewhere. And then I found that it wasn't that common for orthodontists to have that. And they didn't really want to invest the time and equipment and all of that. And truthfully, I'm not designed to work under somebody else for the rest of my life. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start a lab myself. So that was how that all happened.
That's interesting because I feel like in our industry there's a large number of women lab owners, and,
yes.
and I think it's like you said, it's these mothers and wives that want their own business. They don't want to work under anybody else. This is a perfect opportunity to provide that, to do that. I think if dental hygienist is close to that, because you're kind of your own boss, but yet you're still. I mean,
you have
we work
a schedule
and and you can't really do that from home. I mean, you could have someone at your kitchen table and you're picking out their teeth, but that's probably not legal.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, and that's something I kind of knew I always knew I wanted to own a business even before I became a mom. But when I became a mom, I was really like, I'm not missing my kid's school events. If I want to go to something for his school, I want to be able to go, and I don't want someone to tell me I can't. So,
well, that's a great thought. You do have a lot of. I mean, when you got a lot of retainers to do, it kind of predicts what you're going to do. But you still have a lot of say in what your schedule's like.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I work nights.
Oh yeah, we all work nights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where you were in dental assisting school, where did your son come along?
So I was in dental assisting school in the fall of 2008. I turned 22 while I was in school for that. And my son, I got pregnant with him. Wait, maybe it was 07. I don't know. I was 22 years old when whatever year that falls in now. I was 22 years old, and then I had my son when I was 23. So, like, I had just turned 22 in November, worked, turned 23, and then had my son right before I turned 24. So I had just started working in an actual dental office, and then 3 weeks later found out I was pregnant. And so, that was a fun surprise.
It was after dental assisting school you first started your job, and then surprise.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah. So
apparently there was something in the water in that office because that year, one of the doctors, it was a husband-wife team. One of the doctors had been pregnant. The office girl was pregnant. A hygienist was pregnant. I got pregnant, and then another front office girl got pregnant. It was a thing. It was
I get worried. Patients started coming out pregnant. That'd worry me.
Yeah. So that was a fun conversation. Like, I was 3 weeks into that new job, and then I had to tell them, like, I felt horrible, but I mean, they were awesome about it, and so.
Well, it sounds like they were used to it. From there.
Yeah, they were.
Well, so you went back to college too.
I did.
Right?
I did. Yes. So, yeah.
Was that after your son was born?
Well, I had been in college. I mean, I graduated high school. I went straight to college. I just didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, so I just kept bouncing around. And I got tired of just taking classes and waiting tables. And so that's why I got into the assisting program, because I thought it would be a great career path. And it is. It's a great job. The deck of cards I got dealt was not the most ideal. And it was just me and my son. And so raising him on a dental assistant income was hard. And we were on all the help you could get government-wise. And I just was like, you know what? This isn't what I want to do forever. Like, I loved assisting, but I didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck. And so I went back to school to finish a degree, thinking that would open a door. And when I graduated, I went and interviewed, at all these business career jobs that you would think, would be a really good paying job. But all of them starting pay was like $10 an hour. And I was like,
Oh,
that's not going to work. Because at that time, as an assistant, I was making, I think, like 16 or 17 an hour.
oh yeah.
That's a major pay cut to take.
Yeah.
And it was
Oh, yeah.
still tight then. Like, we weren't doing anything crazy. And so I just kind of always went back and forth with, like, I love the lab side of things. And, I was like, well, that's a great way to mesh my dental, background and then my business degree. And
So you found out that you could open your own lab during that process. That you're like, oh, this is an in-house lab, but I could be a commercial lab if I wanted to.
Yeah, I didn't really put that piece together that early on. It probably wasn't until after I graduated from college that I really started looking into what that took. Because in the state of Texas, we're probably one of the more strict states when it comes to this stuff. So, you have to go get your CDT and register with the state and all that stuff. So I did all that. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, like it was just this weird, it was like this idea just popped in my head one day and I was like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. And
I think we all wait for that to happen. For some people, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
My wife threatens me all the time. She works in here, but this is not what she wanted to do for her life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have a running joke that every day she fires me, and then she turns around and quits. So, those rough days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I will say that probably working as a husband-wife team, that's got to be challenging sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she gets on to me a lot and gets frustrated with me. So I'm like, I don't want to do that one yet. She goes, but it's due. I'm like, well, I don't want to. Let me procrastinate.
I can see Sarah cracking the whip on you. So.
Yeah. And then storming out, and it's 70 steps to our house.
Yeah.
And so she goes home. I'm going home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of house, you had your first commercial lab in your house.
I did.
Your parents are awesome, and your dad built you the tiniest lab.
Yes.
I think at one point you and I were in competition on who had the smallest ortho lab.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was like 2018, I guess. I was still working part-time as an assistant and then working part-time for myself. And I had actually gone to Michigan for a training with an office. And when I came home, he had started framing out a little area in my garage. Because, that was always the plan. But I just, you have all these ideas in your head all the time, but finding the time to do it is usually impossible. And so, yeah, he started it. And so we finished it pretty quick. It didn't take too long. So, yeah, I think it's 4 feet by either 8 feet or 4 feet by 10 feet. It's not very big.
Mine was 6 foot by like 10 foot. So yeah, we were in the same.
Yeah.
Good thing my wife and I were married because we were shoulder to shoulder.
Yes, it serves as a storage closet now in my garage is what it is. But yeah, that's where it started. And honestly, it was great. It was exactly what I needed. There was some things that would have been nice to have like plumbing in there so I didn't have to like get up and go inside to wash things off or whatever. But I was totally content. I was happy. I was like, this is awesome. And so I worked out of there for, I guess, about a year, a little over a year. And then met Don Schlitz at one of our conferences, and he wanted to retire.
I want to say I had something to do with that.
You did. You did. Because I think he approached you and you were like, no, I'm too busy.
No, I can't take on that work. So Don had been coming to our DLAT conferences for years, and he's an ortho lab owner in Fort Worth. And he came to me and goes, Kate, I want to retire. Do you want these clients? And I'm like, no, but I know someone who does. Tiffany, come over here. And that's the connections we make at these conferences, and it's great. And so you connected with Don and took on all his doctors. And I remember seeing a picture of your garage, and it was just full of lab equipment and desk and stuff, taking up the other half of your garage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when he retired, like he just handed the accounts over, but I bought essentially like his lab, like the equipment and the furniture. I gutted the room because he had a lab in his house and he was selling his house. And so me and my brother took his truck and a trailer and hauled everything out of there and then brought it to my house, put it in my garage. Because we were trying to figure out what my next step was, where I was going to end up. And my garage was full. I mean, I still find Pontic teeth in my garage, like just loose teeth that had fallen or whatever. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah, there was Pontic teeth in the bed of my truck for a while. I'm like, I wonder what some of these car wash people think.
Yeah, like, who did you murder? My truck,
they're like, what is this? So yeah, that was that. So then
you had to get a bigger place.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where you're at right now.
That's where I'm at now. Yeah.
You got a bigger place in away from your house in a industrial area kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a business park. It's just a commercial. I don't know. They're just metal buildings, you know. We had some family friends that took out a lease on this place now for just storage purposes, and they didn't need the front office, and so they were like, hey, do you want to rent that out? Sure. So I think that's 12 by 15 feet, so it's obviously bigger, and I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. So moved into there, and it worked fine. I hired my first employee. She was part-time. So we worked out of there until 2021. So from 2019 to 2021. And then where I'm sitting in now, I had this room added on because we needed a separate place for all these 3D printers. And
yep. I gotta do the same thing.
Yeah. So got this little area added on. It's about, I think it's 10 by 12 feet. I don't know. So we have 2 separate rooms technically, but you know, a lot more room than what my garage had.
Yeah. It was funny how this digital swept us all, away. Because when I designed this one, I thought, well, I just need one printer, so I'm just gonna put it in my office. And then soon I'm like, oh, I need 3 or 4. So I've run out of room in my place that I built.
Yeah, the whole 3D printing thing, like, it's cool. Technology's cool, but it is a headache. And those 3D printers sometimes, I want to throw them, but they're heavy, so it'd be hard to do that.
I always picture that Parks and Rec where, I don't know if y'all seen the meme where Ron Swanson grabs a computer and just throws it in the dumpster. That's what I picture us with our 3D printers sometimes, is throw those in the dumpster. So Josh, input that into this stream, that meme, in the future. So you're here, and then you hired full-time employees from one of the conferences that came to one of the conferences, right? Yeah.
Yes.
The one that's caused this whole podcast thing.
Yeah, I know. These conferences are a reason for a lot of they're good problems to have, but some of their problems. My business growth is because of the conference. I have 3 employees now. 2 of them are full-time. 1 of them is part-time. But the 2 full-time employees I met last year at our conference, they came, they had resumes ready. They were trying to find a job.
That was very smart of them.
Oh,
to
brilliant.
come to one of these conferences. Yeah.
And so at the time I had a full-time employee and a part-time employee, and I knew the part-time employee was leaving over the summer to go to Air Force Academy. And then the full-time employee was trying to get into hygiene school. And so I knew, she was probably not going to be with me for a long time. So the conference ended, and a couple weeks later I hired them, and they've officially been with me now over a year, both of them. And it's been great.
And so now you have, I assume you still have a future development, right?
I do.
You just signed some papers on it not too long ago.
Yeah.
So tell us about the new place.
Well, that is a thorn in my side right now.
As
It's a good
most
thing.
lab owners
Again,
that listen
yeah,
to this will know.
yes. Yeah, so in March, I bought a commercial, a unit in a commercial building. So it's one big building. There's 6 units. I bought one of the units. Um, and man, let me just tell you, I wish I would have known some of the things I know now. I still would have done it. I just would have required the seller to do more things than what they
Mm,
did. Um, Literally the bare minimum on everything. And there's a lot of stuff we're having to just figure out. Like, it's a whole thing. It's like
yeah,
nothing is officially started on it yet because we're still trying to figure out the plumbing situation and if the plumbing they put in can support what I need, and it's a whole thing. I
right.
already know the like electricity is going to be a thing. We're going to have to upgrade I don't know what it's called. The little box that's on the outside of a building that's connected to the
The
meter.
meter. Yeah.
Is that, yeah, well, that box has to get upgraded because it's just the smallest, I guess, you can do. And it won't support all the electricity that my lab's going to need. So
Well,
it's
that's
a,
an eye-opening experience when you go to design your own lab.
oh, yeah.
And usually we as lab owners starting out, we deal with what's there and we work with what's there,
Mm-hmm.
like half
Yeah.
of a garage, like both of us were in, and then so this was my first building to build, but my dad is the one that built it out because he's done this stuff before,
Yeah.
and he just sat down with me. He's like, "How many plugs you want?" I said, "I want all of them." And
Yes.
I want double plugs in each corner where the computers are going to be and
Uh-huh.
where the printer's going to be, and he even put plugs
Yep.
up high, and so it was really nice to just have someone I could just tell I want this, this, and this,
Right.
and I'm sure it's hard on your part. It's like they're like, why do you need so much electricity?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you
They're
need so
like,
much plumbing?
yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, majority of people just don't even understand what goes on in an ortho lab, which is fine. But I'm building this out to set myself up to be there for a long time. I honestly hope I never have to move out of that building. Everyone's like, you're setting yourself up to grow and you're gonna have to buy a new. I'm like, do not put that on me right now because this is enough. Um, so yeah, it's been an interesting. I'm learning a lot about construction, and you know, it's it's interesting. But
Oh
I've
yeah.
got some great people to help. The architect I have is awesome. And then my son's dad owns a construction company, and so he's kind of helping just GC a little bit of this.
Oh, very nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you know,
That
I'm
you're
just
moving
waiting
on
for
up.
yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for prices. Like I need people to tell me how much all this costs so that I can start
Right.
paying. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and so that being said, all this time you're spending running a lab, being a mom, and doing all that, and then also building a new lab. You've also decided to take on the role of president of the ORG, and
well,
that started in 2018, I guess 2019. I think AOLP started. Chris Kajewski's,
yeah.
you know, actually went out there and pulled the trigger on this whole thing.
Hmm.
And you and I both stepped up. I guess I'm secretary. You stepped up vice president. Uh,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
how's it been going? As
I mean, for the most part, it's fine. This year, there's been a few things to handle
yeah.
that were a little bit like, oh, okay. But really, I mean, it's fun. I enjoy it. Um, because it's really not just me, right? Like we have a board and everyone's great and everyone helps each other out. And so really the title of president is just a title you have to give somebody to meet the requirements to have a nonprofit. And, I feel like we all do the same, like we all help each other out. No one's above somebody else. This isn't a dictatorship. This is a group of people trying to,
it,
make,
make the community better. 'Cause
yes.
this hasn't existed before. and
Right.
so
Yeah.
used to, you wouldn't go to these conferences, you wouldn't talk to anybody because you didn't want to share secrets. But now,
Right.
it's we're starting to get. I don't know if you can hear it. My rooster's starting to, and maybe that's our cue to end
Steve's
the podcast. Steve is going to be on this podcast soon, I promise you.
Yes, he needs to be.
And then Josh said he heard the chicken.
Yeah, I can hear him now. He woke up.
Yeah, I thought I had set my setting where I could block all sound from around me.
Oh.
But yeah, he still gets in
I think
there.
it's fine. I think it gives this podcast character.
Yeah, the rooster character. Because we've always been the redheaded stepchild of the dental lab industry. So
that's what I've heard. I've never experienced that. When I walked into all of this, everyone has always been so kind and helpful and great. So I'm thankful I never had to deal with some of that, but that's what I've been told.
Yeah, when I first started out, there was only maybe 1 or 2 ortho classes you could take as an ortho technician in where I went to. And I actually flew to Florida one year just to attend Don Inman's class. And that was just one class. And because that was the only one around me. And then they were so desperate for ortho lab tech classes and DLAT. They're like, Cade, why don't you come give a talk? And I'm like, about what? Okay, I'll try. So, and that's where the ORG was kind of born out of, was this Dental Lab Association of Texas was bringing on. We had a Ernie Cardenas, the Retainer Factory. He was president. He was like, Cade, we need to bring in more. And then we contacted Priscilla. And Priscilla had connections everywhere. And she's with JBC and Company. We'll have her on the podcast soon, too. And get everybody's perspective on how all this started. But yeah, I didn't think about you coming in at a time when people were starting to open up about their ortho labs. Because you go to these conferences, you realize the problem you have, someone else has had it or has it right now. And you find those kind of help there. So, shameless plug, we have signed the contract now. So we are officially, mark your calendar, save the date, 2024 ORG conference, April 5th and 6th. It's at the Westin, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, near the Dallas DFW Airport, International Airport. So it's a free shuttle from there. But it's just down the road. So we actually outgrew our last place. You've seen the pictures. I think I've posted the pictures on Facebook if you want to see. We're kind of tight in this small room. ORG kind of expanded its walls. And so we needed a bigger place. So now we got our own place there. So just letting everybody know, save the date, April 5th and 6th of next year, 2024. It's kind of early, but, let's get in front of this ball before we do anything
else. Earlier the better. We can plan better for that.
Yeah. So speaking of that number 4, that number 3 on that, what Josh wrote, we all like to take vacations. And so, you taking vacations in the name of your lab have something to do with each other, right?
Yeah, they do sometimes.
Yeah.
We're big beach lovers, me and my son. Just, I don't know. Like, that's where my soul finds rest. We go to Destin just about every year. I've been going there since I was in 8th grade. And I still don't even know why I don't live there. I mean, every year I'm like, why? And now I know why I can't. Like, I've got a business here and a kid here. But even before I became a mom, I was always plotting how I was going to move and live on the beach in Destin.
Destin, Florida, right?
And so that's we usually do that every year. This might be the first year that I don't go in a really long time, just because of this whole build out situation. I just financially, I don't know what this is going to look like yet. My parents are going, and they are going to take my son. Well, they're going to take my son. So my son gets to go, but I just don't know yet if I'm going to be able to make it, which breaks my heart a little bit. But we did kind of a big trip in December, January. So, and I kind of did that knowing like, hey, this year we might not be taking any vacations. So yes.
So the name of your lab is Destination.
Destination
Was
Orthodontic
that
Lab.
based on Destin?
Mm-hmm.
And your logo, you have palm trees and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's and if we saw the inside of your lab, and I should have put up a picture. It's all colorful
Yeah.
and
Yes.
nice in there. Greens
Bright.
and blues and ocean colors.
Yep.
So you get to live your beach dream every day, so you don't need to go to the beach anymore, right?
I mean, it's not quite the same, but it's that's the thought. Like, I want to be able to walk into some place and enjoy being there, and I want my employees to enjoy being there. So I want it to be bright and fun. And I do know that the new location, it's going to have kind of the same stuff. We're going to have lots of bright colors, and it's going to be kind of a beachy industrial theme is kind of what we're going for. So
have a sand room, and
I've thought about it. Thought about it.
You just don't collect the polymer when you're sprinkling. You just leave it all on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just the sand.
Yep.
Just don't ever sweep it.
I know. Yeah, no, I've definitely thought, I'm like, how could I have a floor just made of sand? You could just walk around barefoot, but then you got wire clippings and it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
No, it wouldn't. But yes, the beach is a big theme in my life, and that's usually what our vacations are centered around. And so,
well, we'll have to get you back on when you're done with the building, and share some pictures of how it went, and talk about problems you ran into that you could share with others.
I already got a list of that.
Yeah, we can just go through the list, and you're like, okay, make sure if you're going to build out your lab that you cover this, this, and this, and you get plenty of sleep and drink lots of water.
Yes.
Because you may have a gray streak in your hair when we interview you next.
Well, there's a reason my sister-in-law put this blonde in my hair the last time I saw, and I was like, we're going to have to do something about these grays. Yeah, like, we're going to cover those up. So, yeah.
That's why I cut myself short on the sides. It's starting to, and I'm getting a little, and I noticed Josh when I brought him on, he's getting a little gray in there. So,
yeah.
So we'll just, maybe that's one of the things we'll talk about in the podcast is how gray are you getting owning your own ortho lab.
Oh gosh, yeah. Owning a business in general, I think, will make anybody go gray, but yeah.
Well, we'll end it there. I kind of wanted to keep this at like 30-40 minutes each time. Don't want to take up too much time of everybody. I appreciate, Tiffany, you coming on and being our first guest.
Yeah.
And
guinea pig, whatever.
Yeah, and launching this off. And what I'm really surprised about, if y'all have seen any of our other live streams or webinars, Tiffany's usually back there working while we're talking. Yeah, so that's how dedicated she is. She's not bending wire right now.
Well, I just got to work early this morning and got all the things done so that I could sit and do this. And then I think after this, I get to go home. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And sleep, because we're all introverts, and this is a switch that I turn on, and then when I'm done, I gotta go take a nap because I gotta go recharge.
Yeah, it drains you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll get a nap in. We're on summer break, so my son's at home.
Oh yeah. Same with
probably playing
with
Xbox,
but I've been getting my sons to work, so that's been great.
Yes.
They've been wire bending.
Nice.
So. Here we go. Facebook user, I don't know who it is. They didn't log in, but great job, Tiff and Cade. So I appreciate that. And it's only going to get better. So as we, and Josh was actually working while he was in the background producing. Luciano, he likes, I believe Luciano's from Brazil. He's one of my longtime YouTube followers. But he likes the interviews. And that's why I wanted to launch it on mine, because one of my best live streams I did recently was I interviewed my ex-boss that I worked for. So that was a very interesting live stream. So this is where we would go into Q&A, but nobody's asked questions. You've answered them all. And again, every once in a while we may have a call in from one of our members that decided to click the link and enjoy. But I do want to say we do have an official email called podcast@orthoresource.group. If you would like to come on to the podcast and tell your story, we'd love to hear from you. And we're probably going to start tapping the shoulder of some of the members that have a really neat story here pretty soon. So you'll be able to hear from all those members. And I personally, I like to hear those, even though I might be doing some of the interviewing. But don't worry, it's not going to be me every week. So, but podcast at Ortho Resource Group is the email if you want to contact us and get on here or give us your idea for a podcast name. So, but anyway, with that being said, I want to say thank you to Tiffany. Thank you for everybody who's watching. And until next week, again, we'll just try to do this every Friday at noon until we find a better time. And we'll see y'all then. Oh, we do. Maybe we've got a question. Nope. Athens.
Oh,
I think he means he's got gray hair too. And Josh, you just sat down. I told you the instant you sat down is going to bring you on. I can't hear it. I can't hear him. But anyway, I'll see y'all later. Thank you all for watching, and I will talk to y'all next week.